Broadway legend Stephen Sondheim, who was behind some of theatre's best-known musicals, including West Side Story, has died at the age of 91. Now, one of musical theatre's most revered composers and lyricists, Stephen Sondheim, has died at the age of 91.
In a career that spanned more than 6 decades, he created some of Broadway's best-known musicals, including Sweeney Todd and Passion, and wrote the lyrics, of course, for West Side Story. Daniela Relf has been looking back at his life.
Isn't it bliss? Don't you approve? One who keeps tearing around, one who can't move.
Send in the Clowns from the musical A Little Night Music.
Send in the clowns.
It was Stephen Sondheim's only hit song, remarkably, because this was the man who revolutionized the American musical. As a young man, he learned his trade from Oscar Hammerstein, the lyricist who wrote shows like Oklahoma and The Sound of Music. Sondheim, too, started by doing the words, notably for Leonard Bernstein's music in West Side Story. Soon he was writing his own music as well. Most of the shows that followed were hits, and then in 1970 he came up with a new idea, a musical that didn't follow an obvious plot. Company was a series of vignettes featuring a dozen central characters. No two Sondheim musicals were the same.
I don't want to get bored writing, and you know, when you hit a chord that you've hit before, or a technique of using a song that you've done before, or when I do, I get very nervous, and I think I've written that. I mustn't do that again. Somebody will catch me up on it, so to speak. It's as if somebody say, "Wait a minute, you did that in that show."
Into the Woods was based on fairy stories like Jack and the Beanstalk.
There are flies.
Sondheim's music was rhythmically complicated and harmonically sophisticated.
Son, we've no time to sit and dither, while her withers, wither, and no one keeps a cow for a friend.
That's one of my favorite things about a Sondheim musical is the material that you learn is some of the most complex series of notes put together that you can learn. And so you feel such a sense of accomplishment when you finally get to, when you've arrived at that place of realizing, I got it. I figured out how to sing this Sondheim lyric and sing this beautiful phrase that he wrote.
I thought that you'd want what I want. Sorry, my dear.
For his admirers, Stephen Sondheim produced some of the most sophisticated and thoughtful musicals ever written.
Quick, send in the clowns. Don't bother, they're here.
Never tire of hearing that song.
It is a beautiful song.
Never tire of it.
Throughout the morning this morning, we'll speak to a number of people who've sung some of the songs that he created over the years. So there'll be many people sort of reliving the moments and what it's given their careers as well. Imagine having sung some of those songs in films and on stage.
Broadway star Sierra Bogues played Cinderella in Sondheim's Into the Woods and shared her memories of the composer a little earlier.
First of all, thank you so much for having me. It's a cathartic experience for me right now because we've all just in this Broadway community and all over the world have heard this news. So it's just beyond. But that's one of my favorite things about a Sondheim musical is the material that you learn is some of the most complex series of notes put together that you can learn. And so you feel such a sense of accomplishment when you finally get to, when you've arrived at that place of realizing, I got it. I figured out how to sing this Sondheim lyric and sing this beautiful phrase that he wrote. It's his melodies are so complex, and they may not be easy always on the ear, but they are some of my favorite things to sing as a singer, as a musician. It requires all of you. He redefined the musical. He sort of upped the ante for what we could do. No one had ever written like him before. It's why you study him in school. If you're studying to getting a degree in musical theater, or you're a theater student, you know that when you're learning music, you have to learn a Sondheim because it elevates you. And that's what he did for all of musicals. He changed the way that we listen. He changed the way that he never made it easy, I feel like, for either the performer or the audience. He required you to listen. He required you to, it's like the best thing for going and seeing a show, because then you have discussion afterwards of what the heck did that mean? It's so complex, and so he gave words. I feel like he articulated things like love and loss and regret in ways that I would never be able to, that most of us wouldn't ever be able to.